All right, Peter Badel, mate, always good to catch up. Big fight this one, world title fight, Lewis Crocker-Liam Parro. Overall sort of impressions on this fight and the build-up so far, Pete?
Well, firstly, Macca, how good's life here? Now you know why I live here in Brisbane. Look at it. How good is it?
Outstanding, mate, outstanding.
You'll never go back to Newcastle.
You're the mayor of Brisbane, aren't you, Peter Badel?
Yeah, and the Prime Minister. Look, brilliant. I can't wait for this fight week. Another outstanding card by No Limit, and there's going to be some absolute barn burners fights. I mean, not only Crocker and Parro, but I love some of the undercard fights. I mean, Nelson and George Burgess obviously has a bit of novelty factor to it, but still intriguing. Big boys, 270 kilos between them, anything could happen. But also, I'm looking forward to Luke Medini. I think he'll be the next superstar of Australian boxing. I think he can go all the way. He can win world titles, and I think he can do some real damage in the cruiserweight division. So I'm excited for Medini. Steven Ivic is on the card as well, and then of course Dempsey McKean and Talavera. What a fight, the heavyweights. So some real quality, but it's topped by Parro and Crocker, and Parro's got his work cut out.
Lewis Crocker's been quite subdued these past couple of weeks, man. What do you read into that? I asked him up here, and he sort of said that, No Limit won the purse bid, so he doesn't really need to do anything. I mean, the fight's built around Liam Parro. You think he's sort of annoyed, pissed off, Pete, that he's had to come all the way here to Australia?
Well, if I'm Lewis Crocker, I'd be filthy. I mean, you're the defending champion. You get beaten by $27,000 in the purse bid. Eddie Hearn's one of the kingpins of world boxing, matchroom conglomerate. You would think that he would have the fiscal muscle to win this fight for his fighter and deliver it in Belfast. Instead, he has to travel 15,000 kilometres, whatever it is, to Australia to defend his title, a la Liam Parro, who had to go to Puerto Rico to defend his crown. So, to me, it's a real kick in the guts for Eddie Hearn. I mean, Eddie Hearn, one of the greatest promoters that we've seen, and a guy with great gravitas. For him to be almost trumped by No Limit, to me, I think in terms of ego alone, I'd be seriously pissed off if I'm Eddie Hearn. But if I'm Lewis Crocker, I'm even more pissed off, because it's like, we should have won this fight. It should have been in my backyard. Instead, he now has to come to Australia and go into the Lion's Den against a guy who I believe is a more cerebral fighter. I think he's got better IQ than Crocker, and for that reason, Lewis Crocker should be disappointed in his own promotion.
What do you made of, I guess, Liam Parro's demeanour? We had the grand arrivals tonight. He seems relaxed. Like you said, he had to go overseas and win his belt. Is there any pressure on Liam, given the fight is here in Australia?
Oh, absolutely there is. But it was interesting, Jay. I saw them having a word at the face-off, and I'm told that I spoke to Liam afterwards, and I said to Liam, what was said? And he said, I had a crack at Crocker about claiming to be the underdog. That was what it was about. So Liam Parro said, why are you claiming to be the underdog? You're the champion. Don't you believe in yourself? And it's a fair point. I mean, if I'm the champion, I'd be like, I'm the man. I own the belt. You got to take it from me. So why is Lewis Crocker saying that he's the underdog? I find that embarrassing. And to me, it's a bit of a psychological weapon for Liam Parro, because clearly Crocker must feel uncomfortable to some degree if he's coming all this way and saying, I'm the underdog. If you're as Liam Parro said to him, Liam Parro would never say that. Liam Parro would say, I'm the champion, I'm the king, I'll get the job done. And I believe Liam will get the job done. But you ask about pressure, yeah, there is absolutely pressure. I mean, at the end of the day, Liam Parro lost to Richardson Hitchens, failed to defend his title after beating Matthias in one of the great fights we've seen in Australian boxing. So the pressure's on Liam as well. I mean, he's lost a fight. Lewis Crocker's never been beaten. His O could go, but I still think Liam needs to show that he's the finished article at 147, because I don't think against Papo, there was a few nervous moments, and we all remember that big bomb in the fourth round that busted his eye. So Papo's not a huge puncher. I think Crocker's a bigger puncher than Papo. So Liam Parro's got a bit to prove in this fight.
Mate, a lot of sort of news articles and media about Tszyu, Errol, Spence, not too far away now, mate. We know the fight's in Sydney. What have you made of that location choice? What have you made of the build-up? And has that sort of distracted from this fight, Liam Parro, Lewis Crocker?
No, I don't think so. Look, it's a month away still, so hopefully it's not too much of a distraction. But in terms of the location, Jay, I got to say I'm so pleased that it's in Sydney. I mean, I had heard that there were some whispers. It was a genuine option, the Gold Coast. They were looking at Seabus Super Stadium, but I was always I mean, for me, living here in Brisbane, it would have been great to have the fight on the Gold Coast, but I still felt in my heart of hearts, Tim's a Sydney boy, and I always go back to that fight against Tony Harrison, Kudos Bank Arena, 10,000 people there. It was just pumping that day. And it was almost the coronation of Tim, that victory. It just felt like the energy in the room, the hoopla, the whole vibe around the week. Tony Harrison coming out, with the Opera House and the Sydney Harbour Bridge in the background. I just think the biggest fights need the biggest locations, and the biggest location in Australia is Sydney. It's the harbour city, it's the Olympic city, and I think Tim Tszyu, in his hometown, will have his family and friends behind him there at Kudos Bank. I can't wait. It's going to be one of the greatest fights we've ever seen on Australian soil.
What about the card as well? Jamal Charlo, Stephen Fulton, Liam Wilson. Credit has to go to No Limit for putting this one together.
They continue to amaze me, Jay. I mean, even with this fight, they paid $1.15 million American. That's 1.6, 1.7 million Australian dollars to have the balls to put that money on the line, knowing you still have to monetize the fight. You don't want to be losing big bucks on these types of fights. There's a lot of promotional pressure that falls on No Limit to then fiscally benefit from backing your fighters. It's one thing to get the fight, but you've got to deliver not only for your fighter, you got to deliver for yourself as a promotion. So you're not in this business to lose money and go bankrupt. So what No Limit have done is incredible, and the fact that they've been able to bring Errol Spence to Australia is one of the greatest promotional feats we will ever see in Australian boxing. I don't think it ever gets beaten. Spence is a superstar, Olympian, one of the great generational talents, and for him to come to Australian soil and fight Tim Tszyu in his backyard, phenomenal stuff, and No Limit just keep raising the bar.
One for you, mate. Jai Opetaia. He seems to be sort of squeezed out there at cruiserweight with Benavidez edging towards McAllister unification. What's your sort of read on where Jai Opetaia will sort of land in the next 12 months or so for himself?
Yeah, look, it's quite a sad state of affairs, isn't it, for Jai? We love Jai Opetaia. I love him as a boxer. I want to see him get the big fights. He needs the big fights. He deserves the big fights. He's one of the best pound-for-pound talents we've got right now, but he's withering on the vine. And look, at the end of the day, he made a philosophical, strategic, tactical decision to go with Zuffa. It's going to set him up for life. He's already had some good paydays, but at the end of the day, he's also lost his belts, and now the pressure's on Tasman to deliver the big fights. They keep whinging about being dudded. Well, No Limit haven't been dudded. And I'm not pro No Limit. I'm just saying in terms of the pure optics, No Limit are getting world title shots for all their fighters, including way back to Liam Wilson against Navarrete in his 13th fight in Arizona. So why are Tasman fighters not getting the big fights for Jai Opetaia? That's the question. If I'm Jai, I'd be asking my promotional team, because you could look over the fence and say Liam Parro's getting world title shots on home soil, Tim Tszyu's getting big fights in Vegas. Why can't you get me the big fights? Now, obviously, Zuffa's, that's another variable and a significant variable, but I ultimately hope that Jai can fight for major belts again, because it's what he deserves, and time's running out. He's getting older now, so he might only have 3 or 4 years left in the sport, so let's hope he can unify at some stage, because I think he's good enough to do that.
Last one for you, man. Nikita Tszyu. Who would you like to see Nikita Tszyu go in there with next?
Well, there's been talk about Ben Marnie domestically. I know that performance against Diaz was marvellous. It was a real masterclass from Nikita, and real testament to the team, what they've done for him, and his ability to improve so quickly with so few rounds. He only had 1 or 2 rounds in almost 2 years, so it was a phenomenal effort by Nikita. I think there's international opponents on the horizon for him, the lower ranked ones. He could fight another Diaz type opponent, but I think there's still some domestic fighters I'd love to see him fight. I'd love to see him fight Ben Marnie. Ben Marnie's a quality fighter. I'm told that there's been some talk between them about about putting on this next fight for Nikita. So hopefully Ben Marnie jumps in the ring, because I think he's a wily customer. Hasn't got a lot of power, Ben. I don't think he beats Nikita, but he's tricky. He's crafty. So, and there's still a few others in the backyard at 154 that Nikita could clean out. So I still think I'd like to see him get to maybe 16 or 17-0, having beaten a few domestic opponents before he takes the real jump to the real serious international opponents. I don't think he's ready for the big guns, the big dogs at 154 yet, but Ben Marnie could be a nice little test next up.
Outstanding. Appreciate it, mate. Always.
Anytime, Jay.